Alright guys, this is going to be a little bit of a more detailed video, if you will. We're going to talk about SHTF situations where your plumbing doesn't work, your water pump's not working, you can't flush your toilet. What do you need if you cannot flush your toilet? Well, it's pretty simple. You need a bucket. You need something to add to your bucket. So we're going to use my compost. We just picked this up, and as you can see, it's a little bit of everything in there. And basically what you're going to do, you put a layer in your bucket to cover the bottom of your bucket. You can actually put a piece of paper down first, which means when you dump this out, nothing will be sticking to the bottom of your bucket. Now, do you need a fancy bucket? Do you need a bucket specifically for catching human manure? No. Look at my bucket. It's a Tidy Cat. We've been using Tidy Cat buckets for 2 years in our dry toilet system, which some people call compost toilet. It's really a dry toilet system. You're not composting in your buckets. Now, what you do, let's use this as an example. This is not a real thing. This is just a clump of compost, okay? You did your business, there's your business. It's in there now, okay? Now, you take some more covering and you cover your business. The rule of thumb is 2 handfuls per business. And if you're peeing, then it's 1 handful. If you put toilet paper in here, you want to cover that toilet paper. Boom, cover it. That's how this system works. And because this is so fine and it's already activated compost, and if you smell this, it smells really piney and wonderful. This here is what saves odors in the house. You could put this bucket, if you have an elderly parent, you can put this bucket right in their bedroom with them so they don't have to stumble around the house looking for a toilet. If you have small children, again, you can put this bucket in their room. And the nice thing is, you just check it, make sure the covering is happening. If you don't cover, you will have horrible odors, you will have bugs get in it, and you definitely want to cover it. Now, the next thing you can do is fancy this up, is put it in some type of a box. Now, I'm just using my garden box as an example. You would set it in, well, let's go over here. I have this set up in the house, but the lighting is terrible. And don't mind my garden box, I'm trying to fill it. You would set it in a box with a wooden lid and a toilet seat. Everything goes in one bucket. It's that simple, guys. Now, the bucket's full. Oh my gosh, my bucket's full. What do I do? You got a couple choices. Depends where you live. If you have a yard, you're going to want to take this out and you can dig a hole and bury it. It's that simple. You dig a hole, at least, I would say, it depends how many trees you have in your yard. You dig it as deep as you can, dump your bucket, and then cover it with some more compost if that's your only option. Your other option is to come over here. We are actively using this system, which is why I feel we can talk about it and teach a little bit about it. One of your choices, if you're in a neighborhood where you can't bury it, is barrels. You can store it in a barrel, or you can compost it. Just to give you an idea, we just built this compost area. This is 2 years worth of human manure compost. And this is brand new. We haven't even used it yet. But basically what you do, you take your bucket. I'm filming one-handed here, guys, so it's going to be a little shaky. You dump your contents. Boom, contents are in. Now, you can either put more compost over that from your compost storage area, or like we have, tons of used hay. Boom. It's covered. No odors, no bugs, no flies, no neighbors are going to know you're doing this if you do it properly. Now, okay, time for bucket number 2. Imagine full bucket, bucket number 2. My next step is to come in here, and no, I wouldn't use my hands. You want a designated tool for this, but you're gonna pull back where you just dumped your last bucket. You pull it back. You dump your bucket again. You cover that area again. It's that simple, guys. None of this is rocket science. None of it's complicated, but it's something I feel in an SHTF situation, most people don't know what are you going to do with your human manure. You have to do something, because one of the risks of a SHTF is health concerns coming up from unsanitary conditions. Pick a spot in your yard. This is 50 feet or so from the cabin that we live in. There's no odors. We have a forest full of things we can use to compost. Pine needles. We have an abundance of pine needles because we're in a pine forest, as you can see. Grass clippings would be another thing. If you're going to be maintaining your yard, grass clippings would be wonderful topping for this. Absolutely wonderful, because the green manure, which you're putting on top of your sawdust or wood shavings, whatever you're using, is not a green manure, it's a carbon. So green and carbon makes compost heat up, and it composts it even faster. So this would break down super fast. The rule of thumb is your first pile, you let it sit 1 year. Fill it, stop, close it off, let it sit. Yes, it needs to get rain on it. It needs water to keep it composting and activated. Then you start your second compost pile, if it's possible and if the situation still calls for it. You start your second compost pile, and when this one's full, you would wait an additional year on this one. So a year on that one when it's done. Now, ours is 2 years old. So you might ask, why did you wait 2 years? It took us 2 years to get this semi-full because there's only 2 of us. And it was actually breaking down because our urine and the human manure all goes in the same spot, which is another important factor. Urine is a nitrogen. Nitrogen is like a green manure or a green compost. It helps break things down. So our urine and our human manure all go in the same pile. And our pile was breaking down faster than we could build it up. So it's taken us 2 years to get to a size pile that we feel it's time to walk away from it and let it sit and do its cooking. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you all today. It's not hard, it's easy. And one of the methods, if you have a place to do it, is called trenching. You will dig a spot, and when your bucket is full, you put it in your hole or trench, and you immediately cover it. It's going to compost. That's what nature does. It's a natural process, and it's a lot more sanitary than people think it is. And the nice thing is, when you're done, that compost can go to your fruit trees. Some people garden in it, food production, flowers, whatever you want to use it for. Because when it's done, it's totally safe. Totally safe. It's dirt, guys. It's no different than what happens out in the wild when an animal does their business out there, just like my goats. Over time, their manure turns into dirt. It's the nature of the beast, if you will. Alright guys, hope you liked the video. I'd love to hear any insights or thoughts you have concerning composting human manure. And are you willing to do this when the shit hits the fan? Alright guys, have a great day and God bless.